Well, hello, friends. It's been ages and a day. Welcome back to the Artist Within podcast. I am your host, Adela Hittel, and today's episode, I'm super excited to have somebody on that I had just before I came back, or I had the accident and went to LA and did all the good stuff. So I'm really, really excited to have our William P. Cook, our director, back on to talk to us about not only this trip that we just took to LA and what our mental health day turned into, because we decided we needed just a moment to, express, have a good time, and let go of everything. And we only had certain amount of hours, certain amount of time, certain amount of everything. And we're like, what can we do? And then we did. And then what did it turn into? I can't wait to share with you. And then we're going to be talking to you about the documentary. And I cannot wait for you to hear about that too. So many things are up in the works. And as always, welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you guys here. Let's bring him in. William, welcome back. Yo.
What's up, Adela?
Yo,
How you
what's
doing?
up? I mean, I'm here, right? Like, I'm alive. I'm here. We're breathing. I'm breathing.
Uh,
And what else?
yeah,
I've
you
got my.
survived a car wreck.
I did. I survived a car wreck. Now I gotta survive another
Scary.
wreck. It was scary, but you know what though? I swear to you, he said, "Are you ready?" And I was like, and I said, "Whatever blessing you have for me next better be good." That was when it happened. That's what I said. And he said, "Are you ready? Are you ready to advocate and do your job?" And I was like, "Sure." And now I
Well, we
am.
never know what can come from the mishaps, but typically it's always something.
It's always something, and how you take it and how you move forward to it. It's all about it. That, and sometimes you have to pause and
Hmm.
you have to shift everything, and you have to like redo your whole life, and that's okay. That doesn't mean everything stops completely, but some things have to stop and prioritize. And as I always say, that
Yeah,
40 inches, your home, where you are with your faith, and where you are with God, and where you are with yourself, is so important to be able to navigate the world, because it's
yeah,
really heavy and it's really, really ugly in so many places, spaces, and times that can reach us at any given second. So how do we navigate it? And I love that we do that through our art and through what we do as it is. And so I'm really, 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 really excited to share all the stuff on there. So welcome back to the podcast. How about you share a little bit of an update about you, and then we'll get into and then let's talk about coming out to LA. Tell me your perspective. Me coming out to LA. Let's start that.
gotcha. So you came out in March, and we had a wonderful blast. We knew we were going to do desert, but past that, like it was just you and me doing what we normally do. It's just like we're just gonna wing it. And Did I can't remember. Did we decide we were going to do magazines after the fact?
So we didn't decide to do anything. When we were there last time, or when I was there in July of last year, I remember talking about how I just wanted to have a creative day while I was here because I was so inspired and I
Right.
wanted to make a few pieces.
No,
And
I remember
then,
that.
right. And so, and then, no, and then when we actually did the shoot and we got through here, when we were doing the shoot, it was like we both needed to just shoot. I was like, we weren't prepared that way. Like, we were not prepared, you guys. We were not prepared. We didn't like the PDF file Adela normally has. There was no PDFs here. There was not a single
No.
PDF that was done on this one. And so we decided to just get somebody from locally from LA right there, who could help us out, and she was so gracious to show up. Angel Marie Strong, and she showed up, and she, our model, and then we did it, and we saw the pictures, and I remember the first shots we saw, and it was that back shot, the back shot.
Yeah.
It was the back shot. That was the shot that decided we were like, we did something.
That's got to be the back of a magazine cover. And lo and behold, then a couple hours later, we shot the front cover of a magazine.
And then we were like, oh my gosh, we have the front and back cover of a magazine. Like, what if it could be a magazine? What if, like, and we were
Hmm.
thinking about that because I've made magazines for Project Human before. Will has submitted for his work in process before. And we just couldn't help ourselves sitting there going, oh my God, this looks so good. This looks so great. And we then went for it. And then when we shot the big piece that I was like, I'm going to push myself as an artist. I'm going to push myself as a creator because all my pieces have all just been fast and not as oh, excuse me, detail informed in the way I wanted to, but all practice and skills. And this when I really pushed the limit. I was like, let me try. And when we did it and we did the shots and all the fabric and the life, we looked at each other and we're like, this is another magazine. This is it. How do we
Another
do
one.
this? And then we did it. And then we submitted and we crossed our fingers. And then what happened?
Then what happened? Well, we got accepted into two different ones, Pump Magazine and Kazard Magazine from Ukraine. Um, and what was really cool too is each look really had their own unique style, even though they're in the same location, very deserty feeling. Um, they had their very own aesthetic to
Yes.
it, and so it was very fitting that we did two different magazines. I feel like. Um, I love the cover of Pump.
And
That
here we're pulling it up right now, you guys. So here's our pump right now. So our pump shot is this shot right here. For those of you who are watching, who are looking right now, it is stunning. They did a really great job. And you know what's cool is that I really liked how both magazines are so different in their style and in their format and the way that they reach their viewers and share their stories. And so it was cool to see how they would take our work. And again, how cool was it that we did all of these looks and this shot and this like flower coming through this tough background, this like rigid space, but yet so much beauty and color can come out of it, right? Like it's just so crazy. And how long, which even tied to the name that we gave it. And it's really exciting because our the name just, I need to go back and look at the name because the name just, what was it? Well, yes, the metamorphosis of the whole piece of the video. Oh, the video, you guys, we can't wait to share that with you. But for this one, it was the Delicate Vixen, because the idea of a being growing into a self, and especially for women, like my clothes, or I design for women's bodies. I love women. I really, really love the shape of them. I love how soft they are, and then how they contour in different places, and just the build that they can provide as a structure for something. And so I think it's just so unique, the way that we're made. No offense to you men, but like the way we're made. So and the way we move, right? And the way we move and the way we move is so much different. And when we understand the shape of our body, or the essence of ourselves, it really, when we put those clothes on, or we put these pieces on of art, or whatever we do, no matter where we're at, it just adds and amplifies that. And so one of these pieces for that, and with Miss Angel here, she did all of that like in there, and through clothes, all of these moments like just made me also who I am. And so I really want to give Pump Magazine a huge shout out on that, because they really wrote an awesome little narrative on us. So for those of you who are in here, I'm going to read just a piece of that, because I didn't write this. This was not an Adela. We were asked questions and I answered the questions, and that was great. And then they were like, self-made, stitch by stitch. And like, I was like, what? That's awesome. But weaving art, advocacy, and emotional truth into a new kind of fashion narrative. From this statement is where Runway to Resilience really like took a full-on turn as why we do what we do. But from this photo shoot and from these magazine submission is where we were like, well, let's now do a fundraiser for Project Human and create and involve the community and give everybody an opportunity to kind of participate in this experience that we had. And will you tell them how long it took us for this shoot, like what we did in the day? Like, because most of the times when you're like setting up a production for a shoot, for a magazine submission, or for anything, you're taking hours and hours and so much preparation, and then so much on set and so much all that. Like, really quick, tell them about what we did. Yes.
Well, yeah, I just want to echo. She did such a fantastic job working with us and being so adaptable to all your. Uh,
And not even just all my beautiful gowns, but also all your, because we shot so much. And then my insane of, I don't like that. Move this way. Not just the gowns, but like all of Adela. So shout out to you, Angel, for really putting up for that. And yeah, because we got those sunset shots. Yep, this last sunset shot. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are listening right now, I'm showing on the screen, and thank you for those of you who are watching, by the way. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But for those of you who are listening, right now we have it on the image, the actual shot of where she looks so like delicate and calm and standing still. It was like the end piece to the interview, and all those clouds around that. Like that was so cold, and so cold, you guys. But she did such an amazing job in these moments and captured literally the essence of what I wanted this whole thing to feel of being growing through just like the most sometimes unbearable, unimaginable situations, and the way that they can flourish and turn into something so beautiful despite the conditions. She really captured it in this piece with the fabrics. Instantly.
Just uncontrollable shaking. It's not her fault at any means. It was freezing out there, and it's back and arms. And yeah, she was a real trooper to push through that.
Well, I just realized that for the last couple minutes on the back end of like my guest scene to you guys, I have to put in some extra audio because I forgot to unmute you again because there's four things. I need a producer, you guys. And it was just on the ending of the back scene. I know. Welcome to
It's
my
okay.
life.
I didn't say anything interesting.
It's
I
okay.
really
No, but
didn't.
I have it on the main screen one, so that's fine. I can just like do the
Oh,
audio part
okay.
of that. Like that's fine. I have your audio talking over it. I just forgot to unmute that screen because
It's
who
all
again,
good.
I'm not.
I repeat myself a lot. They're gonna
That's
get
okay.
it.
You guys will get it in there. But
You'll
but
re-get
you
it.
heard it all. You heard it all anyway. For those of you who are listening and those of you who are watching, you'll see it in there too. But yeah, we're really it's really exciting that we got to Pump Magazine this way. So our cover shot will was one of the things that we were really excited to shoot with that. Like so now the Kaz magazine. The Kaz magazine was when we shot this is our, so I have up right now, I'm pulling this up right now, we have our, there we go, and you're unmuted, and we have our I just have to check you guys now. It's been 2 months. I've had a rough month. 2 months. It's been insane. It's
You've been going
back.
through a
We're
lot.
back. But we're back.
You're also
It's
doing the
okay.
podcast and you're producing it yourself over there, so it's a lot. You
It's a
good.
lot.
You good.
It's a
You
lot.
good.
It's good. But look at our Kaz, you guys, our back shot. Tell me when we captured that back shot with the wind and the stillness of it all. This was our first shot. Okay, I was not gonna shoot this. So really quick, I made this for your film festival in July when I came up for your premiere. And this was
Mm-hmm.
my 24-hour challenge dress to myself. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make something. I'm going to show up like I own the place, and I'm going to show up like Adela does. And I did. And then I brought it and I was like, I'm not going to shoot it. I'm not going to shoot it. And it was the first dress we shot. And it was our cover, front and back. Tell me
I wish
about.
we had some. Oh, sorry. Well, just before we get to that, I wish we had some of those shots from the LA festival of you, me. I was wearing like the big orange suit, and
You were
yeah, you look great in
actually,
that.
yes, you were. We do somewhere, and I think on our other podcast, you guys go back and listen to one, and I'll put the click link or somewhere in there. But I do have that, so you can see the actual images of us there at that
Hmm.
in this particular dress right now that's featured
In
on
that
the
dress, yeah.
magazine, and that we did that. So that's so exciting. So tell when
But
we
yeah, so
tell me
the
about it.
back shot, the that whole dress was super interesting because that was our first dress of the day,
Yes.
and uh, I've done fashion work and photography for quite a few years, but now I've had a gap in my doing it. So this was really like the first thing getting right back into it, and I could feel all the gears rusty and moving and turning in my head, and then I was like working out of them and everything, and then I was like finally starting to get it. I was like, okay, it's coming back, it's coming back, and then we got that shot, and I was like, okay, it's back. And I was like, I still had so much more that I wanted to do with it, and then we ended up getting the front one. But I love that shot so much. It's also just I. It's so funny to me that that was like kind of like my first foray back into fashion, and it's on a magazine. That's that's nice, but everything about that dress was so perfect for the desert too, because we had the background of the cactuses, and there's so much great texture within that dress that just helps it pop and stand out, but also you know help what's the word I'm looking for? It also complements the textures of the desert. So,
It
but because it's all white, it really pops against the greens and the browns.
yeah, so this was supposed to be a wedding dress for somebody that I was making a wedding dress for, and unfortunately, some things happened. It didn't happen, and me being me, I can't let go. Things go to waste, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do with this fabric right now? So for me, once I select the fabric for the being, we go through a process of that. Like that is your fabric, and to rip that fabric away from that, like there's a emotional story and process to it, and there's like so much that has gone into this already, like that's why like stitch by stitch and the fabric of life, like those things have a much deeper meaning to me because they're woman words and they create a picture like we just did out of nowhere. And the one I
Hmm.
have on right now is the movement one where she's just on the side and it's so simple and the wind is blowing in the dress, and it's my favorite shot of all the shots I did, like because it's so simple, and like you said, the simplicity of that and the fact the tones of it complement so much the deserts. And again, not planned at all, this like nothing, just pulled it out. I was like, let's just do it. And like in my head I was like, it'll be our test shot, it'll be our ones that we go through and just kind of throw away if we don't like it, because whatever, we're both getting back into this. I haven't been in front or back of the camera or on a set like this in 3 years almost now too, so I'm rusty. I hadn't done a lot of this too. I think the last time I picked up the camera again was when I was with you in July, so like I'm rusty too.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of rust going on both end of that, and the fact that it's all fitting in there. And we did all of this really in those couple of hours of just like let's go movement, and the way she moved and the simplicity again in these pieces was just so like there's feeling to it, and I love that. And again, that's with life, right? Like think about life is full of feeling and full of experience and full of so many ups and downs and navigations. And the fact that your environment and your surroundings and everything else around you may be so hard or desolate or feel so insanely like it was cold as shit and it was rough and I couldn't breathe, y'all. Okay, Will, tell them about my huffing and
You're not
puffing.
used to that. You're not used to this California climate, Adela.
So I thought I was in shape. Okay, this is Adela going, I'm in shape. I got this. 15 feet, y'all. Okay, 15 feet carrying two bags. I was like, and he's like, are you okay? I'm like,
It's dry.
I'm making it happen. Literally, and I wasn't giving up. But it's so dry and like the elevation is so high. So there's just so much to it. And again, we pushed through it all. So even though all of those moments and again, we're talking in through creation, right? Like there's real life moments that people are going through and struggling. Even both of us are right now too, on levels we may not show, but we both are, and
Oh yeah.
on different levels too. And then people have that. The struggle is real for everyone, but how do you move forward? How do you create? How do you build a flower? How do you turn something that into this? And like again, we did this without a thought of like anything after. Just let's just create, let's see what we can do with a photo and a video. And oh, I want to do verticals, I want to do this, I'm going to take this, go have fun, I want to do this, I want to do this. And we didn't even share like my images and our video stuff we've done
I was
yet, or
gonna
any
say,
of
do you
that.
have
Like
your photos? Do you have your photos over there?
I have my photos, yes. And
You pull them up.
I will be pulling them up. I will be pulling them up. I will be pulling them up. We have my photos too, but we did so good. And then we shot another outfit in here too, like the one that you guys have seen me wear already a bunch of times, because again, I promote myself if I really, really like it. And it's really cool because I didn't expect all the little elements of the purse to work with the flower dress outfit and the movement and everything in there. But let me ask you, what is Spirited Angel? When we were coming up with these names, Spirited Angel and like the Delicate Vixen, what I know what we had in the back end of our conversations, but what did they mean to you?
Hmm. So there was such a sense of softness and elegance about the dresses and the outfits, but Angel brings such a strong feminine energy to the images that I love. And so, I feel like when we were coming up with the names, we wanted to showcase both of that. A vixen is definitely something that's a bit more on the edge and a bit more fierce and powerful. But we said delicate vixen, so it's like showing both of the, sides of that. And like I said, and even in her posing, it's very strong, it's very empowering, and how she, would just really take ownership of the ground and the space around her. We're having her up on rocks and like all this kind of stuff, but even like on a rock where it's like difficult to balance and there's wind and she's kind of getting blown around, she's holding her purse and everything, she just ground into it and then strike a very fierce pose. But in a dress that was elegant and flowy and very beautiful. So I think that with the names, for me, that's what definitely kind of came through, was showcasing both sides of that area, and the aesthetic that we were kind of seeing. I think you and I both saw it even there on set.
As soon as she got on there and on set, it was and turned it on. It was on, and I knew it. And what's cool about it too is this was her first like intro into a fashion shoot. As far as the big end of that, she does a lot of video work and a lot of work on the front end with music and things like that. And she's done other things, but like really Adela ways of fashion, let's go do this and we're going to push through all the way. And she delivered like no one's business. Like looking at the one right now with the black dress from Pump Magazine, where our self-made stitch by stitch, going back to that, the weaving art, like that right there with the whole delicacy and the delicacy and the vixen of it. Like, why, as women, there is a fine line of being very overtly like vixen is that edge, right? Like, it's that edge.
Yeah.
There's a fine line of crossing that edge and like staying so demure that there's not even reaching the edge. I think that our society, for us women, this is my personal opinion, but I think we've just jumped off the ledge and like forgot that we have parachutes and we have other things that we could like stay on the ledge and we can create our way into being that.
Exactly.
That sexiness and class and appeal and mystery, and again, not just be drop off the ledge real quick, like walk off like a factory made ledge. So
No,
I just
I've
think
always
that
I've always been so of the opinion this sex appeal has nothing to do with the amount of skin shown at all. It's definitely more so in the energy that you're portraying. And it's kind of funny. I feel like so many people don't know how to portray that imagery or portray that confidence. So they resolve to the more just basic, baseline, mundane form of,
exposure
I
of
call it
self.
cheating, exposure of self, and I call it cheating. I
Yes.
think that, sexiness, and is a great term, and it is empowering, but it's more of a mindset. It
Yes.
really is more of a mindset of about how you carry yourself with confidence and how grounded you are as a human.
I get more compliments when I'm fully dressed than I do when I'm half naked. Like I've learned that as growing up.
Yeah.
I'm going into my 40s now, and not that far into my 40s. I'm going into 38. I know I have 2 years, but like those 2 years are still grinding.
Barely.
Well, the way I say this, they're still grind and rind work, so they're this way. 40s are harvest years, so I'm going into my harvest years, and those harvest years, and they're like in those 40 years, I really have learned especially these last couple of years too, the understanding of what it means to make yourself, right? And this is like what
Right.
our Project Human is about, what we did in there. And it's not just a conversation again about like the style and what you wear and how you wear it. It goes so much deeper into the root of who you are and why your representation of that is, what the confidence is in there. And I also do hair. So I just did hair for somebody the other day, and she's a young girl. She's in her 20s. She's about 25 or 24, 25, something like that, and young girl, did her hair gorgeous. We got her into that. And she's very used to, again, the revelation of her body, the way she works and what she does, and that's what our 25-year-olds are. And I'm not that way anymore. And you see how I had to pause for a second and rethink. I was like, I'm not that way anymore. I'm not anymore. But I had my experience with that, but it never was comfortable for me either. Like I always was. And even though I can make sexy clothes and I can make these pieces that are in there, again, the idea of how you style them, how you wear them, and why you wear these pieces the way you do. I pulled out a sweater for her, and I was like, I have a sweater. This is as low neck as it gets. So it's like as low cut as it gets. And like, and you should have seen her spine stand up straight so quick when she put that on and saw herself and like saw this. There was a new sexiness to her. There was a new
Hmm.
appeal to her. There was a new
Yeah.
feel to her, and she felt it. I felt it. Like, and I even pointed out, I was like, your back is straighter. Your whole being is straighter, and you don't need to reveal everything to feel all of this. Like, do you see how simple? And no makeup on, nothing. We just blew dry. But I also
Yeah.
am very good at blowing hair, and.
Glad we recorded that part.
Well, I had to pause and make sure it was going to be a good clip. So, and
No,
anyway,
but sexy is definitely almost it's more so what you don't show.
yes.
Like that's the way I've always thought of it.
And I know that really quick.
Like fully revealing and everything, and like even like with nude photography, like the art form of the actual body, that's its own little art form in and of itself. And I
Yes.
very much appreciate that form because the human body is gorgeous, and like we were saying about the female form, there's so much beauty in it with just the way y'all are shaped differently than dudes, and it's just so much more appealing to everybody. And but that's its own thing as far as just like I wouldn't even call that sexy though. Like
No,
that's not what
there's
I
a
when I think of sexy, or sensual even, feel like is a more proper term is it again, yeah, it's what you're not showing
right.
because that really reveals the inner self of that person. And I definitely feel like as humans, um, on the base level, you may be attracted to the body form of everything, but on a deeper level, all humans are more attracted to the energy that person's putting out. That's what makes people appealing.
Exactly, exactly. And I was gonna say, when it comes to art, I've had this conversation with plenty of models and women in the industry too about like the appeal of naked. Oh, well, the women's body and the body is art, and absolutely, as we've just said. However,
Yeah.
karma on that too, the time and space and how you display that. Also, there's levels to that too. Nudity is art. Like being on that
Yeah.
space, it's fine. It's art. But again, time and space and place for what you did is and what you do and display it in the environments on there, just like with
Hmm.
everything else. And I think that that's what the conversations we don't have when we come to terms of like mental health, the self, like health in general of the human being. And the reason why I want to say that too is because when Pump wrote this little piece about us, you guys, I didn't understand. Like, I know why we did what we did. Like, what I do and when Will and I create together, and I'm saying and speaking on behalf of him, so he can correct me, but when we create together, it really is a lifeline for the both of us in so many different ways.
Oh yeah.
Because when we get together, we do not have to speak. Like, literally, we haven't created in 5-6 years together at the level that we just did. And we showed up on set, didn't speak like a word about anything. We just knew what to do, where to go, how to do it. And it was so flawless, so effortless, so just being in existence of creation that it takes away from the weight of actual life. And that's what, like, we have the power as human beings
Oh
to
yeah.
do. Right. And like, that's
Oh,
what they were for us.
I think I could speak for you on this because I know we've even talked about this before. As far as like, we love this whole process because it's kind of like what we work for is those 4 hours you get on set. You
Yes.
know, like that's the dopamine hit is
Yes.
like when you're there doing it, like the in between stuff, it's like that's like the work and everything.
Yes.
Like because people go like, oh, is this that looks like a hard day, hard. It's like no, that was the fun. Like that
Yes.
was the best part. Like the worst part's the build up to it, the
And even the
PDF files.
after,
Like
no
yeah,
offense, like,
even
this
the
is great.
after.
We got like all of that. That's great. We got, like, we got our submission, we got feature, we're out there. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But our dopamine was the set. It was the
The
desert.
sets, there's so much more of a hit. Like I'm so happy we got the magazines and everything, but I mean, that day in of itself, I'm gonna remember so much more, because I don't know. Like, I do agree with you. Yeah, we don't have to talk on set. It was like we'd shot last week, even though we hadn't worked together in 5 years. But it didn't even feel like that.
Right.
And yeah, we have this great working chemistry of just I think style and taste of we know what each other like and don't like, and that translates to how we work. Some of my favorite people to work with, like one of my best friends, Antonio Josh. He worked with me on my film Blood Money, and I actually made the observation recently. I told him, I said, "Dude, you realize?" I said, "Over the 3 days that we worked on that set, I said you and I talked for maybe 3 minutes on set." And I said, "And you were like my most invaluable person."
Yep.
And I say it's just because like you and I have that chemistry and the connection of knowing how a film set, and especially with scripted narrative films, Antonio is just so perfect for that. And he's so passionate about it and he loves film with all his heart as much as I do. And he and I have very similar taste styles. And we just, even though we also have our own different styles, we are in tune with each other's. And I noticed that I talked to more people on set throughout the day than him, but he was like my most invaluable person on set.
Mm-hmm.
And that was such an interesting dynamic to me because it's like, it's tough to find that. That's a very difficult thing to get with certain people. And so when you find that, you don't want to let it go. You
Now you
really
know how
don't.
I feel.
Exactly.
Now you know how I feel
Yeah.
about you. I'm like, no,
Oh,
y'all.
I got that. The number of those people are like on this hand.
Yes.
Sometimes the numbers go down, but
Yes.
like
But there's at least the
you
top
and
two or
Age,
three. Top three.
there's the
Top
top
three.
two,
Yes.
top three,
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Um, I think that that's such an important aspect about the creative process is the people that you are working with. I mean, I've had opportunities to work with incredibly talented people in an industry,
Yep.
but you don't feel the chemistry.
Yep.
And so it changes the whole dynamic, and you may appreciate them and their art and everything, but it's like if y'all don't really link on the same wavelength, it's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, great working with them, it was fun and all, but it's like I like my people.
I like my kind. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
And for whoever's going to take that out of context, take it out of context. But the creative kind. But I like my kind of human beings who are not afraid to push the envelope on places.
Hmm.
And one of the things you and I learned that from our very first day on set, like when you climbed under the underpass because you're like, I see this, I'm going to push her vision past what she sees, and I'm going to push the envelope myself. And then you took the initiative, and I was like, they have that's somebody that's gonna go far because he's willing to like, and not to make it so like metaphorically like he's willing to climb the bridge, but like you were willing to climb literally an underpass to get a shot, while I had people down there who were like, I didn't even read your PDF, I didn't even look at it, I don't want to do
Right.
this, like I'm not gonna take the shot and I'm a photographer, like so many, or I'm not gonna model because I'm a model, like the
Yeah.
amount of things that can go wrong on a set on any second, having
Yeah.
those humans around or having the team that understands that level of it and goes, that's fine, I can play any role without any silence, you won't even have to know. Like we didn't feel when we, and I mean this is from any kind of work that we've done since then, at least in my perspective, and I just love because we also can tell each other when it's not each other's jobs and I need like, or you can tell me when I need to step back, and he's like, it's not your job, go away, and I'm like, yes sir, fine. And I love that because we both have this need to also make sure, because we've had and had the experiences of not having that dependency of people and knowing that things need to get done and they need to be moved forward,
Yeah.
and the creative process is also like just as fluid in its like, hey, we're just creating and it's fun and expressive, does not mean that it does not have a structure, right? Doesn't have a
Oh
commitment
yeah.
or a balance to it. It doesn't have a point to it. And even though this was our mental health and we were like, let's go on in the desert, let's go do this. I want to play with my cameras. I want to do this. I want to get back into photography of, fashion. I want to get back into fashion. I want to do this. Okay, great, let's go. You were like, I also want to learn how this is going to look this way. I also want
Yeah.
to learn what this lens is going to do when I do this shot this way. I want to learn what the fabric is going to do when I throw it at this or when it catches, and how much of a harsh weather it's going to be when I'm like, hey, you can take this to the desert and mess it up and it'll be fine. It wasn't that
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You learn, but like you go and learn and you have like, it isn't just about I'm gonna go create today. Like I think that's what I love about what we do too, is it isn't, nothing we've ever created, no matter how small it is, whether it's on an individual level or our own together level, like it's ever been not a learning lesson.
No, not at all. In every process, there is no perfection in art. You're never going to be the epitome of perfection, even if you have all the fame and success and money in the world. If you're a true artist, you know that that means absolutely nothing. The whole point of art is that it will never be perfect. And so, you find the marks that you missed along the way, and then you know, relearn from that and then move into the next project. And in my opinion, the quicker you do that, the more rapidly you'll improve as an artist and in your own craft and developing your taste and style. And it's so important for us as artists of any kind. Like, I don't care if you're like an actual artist in front of the camera or you're the PA in the back. It doesn't matter. If you're working within this form, understanding the vision of what's happening on a set, on a photo shoot, whatever, of just getting in tune with it, that's our obligation as artists, of diving fully 100% mentally into what that vision is. That's why it's so cool working with people that's like, I already know how to be in sync with them. So I understand the vision. We've talked about it for 10 minutes. So we already got there. And
Yep.
that helps the process so much more because then you're just moving forward with it. You don't have to keep discussing about vision and style because now you're just still hanging around here and then you still got to do the production and everything. If you can talk about vision, structure, and what the final look even is going to feel like and, exude, you can move so much further into then the other aspects of everything. It's like, okay, well, we already know what the vision's like. So let's
Mm-hmm.
start talking about, everything else, the details. What kind of poses are we going to want to hit?
Right.
Like there's so many aspects of any type of art form, whether you're painting to, photos, fashion, designing clothing, making a film. There's so many different aspects. So the quicker that you can mentally get into that vision, the more quickly you can start developing all the other aspects of it. But I definitely feel like that's a huge thing that's lost nowadays too, of people not fully losing themselves within the creative process. They just show up, they're like very
What can I get
basic.
for the
Oh, it's
gram?
like this.
For the
Yeah, what can
talk?
I get for the gram? It's like, oh, is this good enough for the photo? for the, internet? Did we shoot it vertical enough to that way? There's so much of the art is lost in
Yes.
that, and I understand that's the day and age that we live in, and we have to adapt to that. But if you really care about your art, you know, like don't just do it for the don't just do it for
The
Instagram.
algorithm will adapt to
Make
you.
yeah, and make something that is you'll be proud of looking back on, 30 years from now. Something that you can look back on, and something that might even, still be there and be relevant, because if Instagram may not be there,
Right.
30 years from now. So like having your own, that's why I love physical forms so much. I have
Right.
photos hanging up that I've done printouts of things, tangible objects. Yeah, I think that that's an invaluable source of art. I think that's also why art in general still so valuable.
I think I want to pinpoint back to you saying to understanding the vision. I think that what I've learned from our experiences, understanding the vision is one of the most important parts because it allows you to adapt through the changes of the process of everything you
Hmm.
do. Like stuff is going to fall through according to whatever else is in control versus you,
Yeah,
and you will not have control over it. You need to be able to adapt and change the vision but still get the same result that you're looking for, right? And like, what does she mean by change the vision but get the same result you're looking for? Because it's not the same, but
right.
the feeling is the same. Like the process of how you're like, hey, I want to ensure that the end of this, I don't care. For checkmate, for example, we had to change location 2 hours or 2 days before shoot. You were flying in or whatever. I called you. I said, can we do this? You said yes. And you said, it won't be the same. I said, that's fine, but can we get the heart and the feeling the same? Oh, no, we can do that. Great. Were there so
Yeah,
many mistakes in that? Even when we look at it, what we've seen it, like the amount of detail, the bags, the sand,
yeah.
like the amount of things you're like, oh, the sandbags there, oh, the outlet there, oh, these little things there. But guess what happened? We did that and we got it done and
Hmm.
changed the vision of like, or the process of it, but never changed the heart of what we wanted. So now when we
Yeah,
look back on it, no matter how many years down on it, we're very proud of the process and we're proud of everything that's gone through it. No matter what the
yeah,
challenges were, when we look at that work, we go, that was some of our best work at the time, space, place that we could have done with what we
yeah.
had, and we pushed the limits and boundaries that most people were willing to do. Wow, okay,
Yeah.
kudos to us. What can we do
So,
now?
some of my favorite photos and videos and things that I've taken over the years are terrible,
Yeah.
like on paper. But I know it's funny because I look at them and I go, well, I know that was the absolute best, that I gave my 110% in that moment. And I understand it. And you can look at it fondly now you know, because everybody can look at their own work and just go like, this is crap and
Oh, I
everything.
look at
Well,
my
of
work
course it
every
is.
day.
It should be.
Even
It
just what
should
we
be.
just did, what we just
Yeah.
did. And I'm like,
Yeah, even what we just
ah.
did. Yeah, we're like, we're all, you should look at your past work and go, oh, that's crap. You really should, because that just shows you're growing then. If you're looking back on work and going, yeah, from 5 years ago and going like, oh, this is so good.
You
You
got some
haven't
problems.
moved on much. You haven't moved on. You haven't grown. You haven't pushed yourself.
Right.
Like I'm getting to the point to where it's like when I finish a project, 2 months after, I'm like,
I'm itching.
what was
I'm
I
like,
thinking?
listen, I'm
What was I
itching two
thinking?
days after. I'm like, this is,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
what was
yeah.
I thinking? Oh, okay, how can I make this better? And it's great because, like, listen,
It's
some of the
great.
work we're just about to release to you guys in the next couple months, what we did for the fashion fundraiser and the involvement, and we did, like, these shots are just some, like, even some of my best work, to be honest. But I'm like, okay, we can do way better. Like literally looking at
Yeah.
some of my best work and even some of
Setting
Will's
that.
best work and going, we're both looking at it going like, this is like fantastic. And our feedback, the feedback we get is, oh my God, so great, so fantastic. But as an artist and as an individual, we're gonna look at each other's work and go, we did great, Will. How are we gonna make it better? Cause
Yeah. Oh, I didn't like this. I didn't like the way I did this, and but that's why it's so important. Who was, I can't remember for the life. I wish I knew so I could credit them, but like there was I want to say it may have been Spielberg or something, but it was basically uh film your first film as quickly as possible because it's going to be your worst.
yep,
So just get it out of the way. And
yep.
there's so much truth in that statement as far as just
Anything.
Just go and start and finish. Like everybody always says, just start, like just go ahead and start doing it. But I think more importantly to that is just finish
Mm-hmm.
too. Like get it done and then restart. Just start that, get that mad cycle going of start,
Yep.
finish. Because like the more you keep doing that, the more you keep growing. If you just start and it takes you forever to finish, you're going to get stuck creatively because like there's going to be things at the very beginning of the start that you're going to forget about that you wish you had changed and everything, and by the time you get to finish, that's all going to be a
It's all,
memory and a
and you've
blur. And
changed, you've
you
grown
yeah,
your life, everything, your
yeah,
philosophies, the way you view things, like it's all changed. It's not how it started. And speaking of how long it takes,
yeah.
like our documentary, which we're about to get to, but which speaking of videos too, I want to see if I can do this right and share with you guys on our website the so you can go take a look at this. Let's make sure that I'm doing this right, and we're gonna go to the website, go to the right scene, the right stuff, and get out
Whew,
of there,
pardon me.
you guys. Go to our YouTube website, well, not our website, but go to the YouTube page of Project Human and go subscribe. Thank you to 164 subscribers who are there, who are following, who are loving what we're doing. I appreciate you again, because we are here for a long haul. Like this is our mission. This is my mission forever, and I'm advocating for the arts because it's extremely important. We know that it saves lives, but understanding why art is important, the process of it, is one of the things that we are going to teach you and show you, and hopefully be able to impact and change the ways that we view it. And as technology is coming in to really relieve, I'd like to think of it that way, a lot of our hard burdens of work and the things that we have to do. So how do we become more creative in this life and as a human being connect to the emotion, which is what we were talking about, how that's part of the art that's gone, and we're here in the Renaissance of bringing it back. So go to our website, go take a look at it, and let me see if I can do this right for those of you who are watching. And ooh, it might be right. I don't know if you can hear it, but here is, let's see if this will do this. Exit full screen. That might not do it that way, because it's YouTube and doing that. But I'm going to share with you guys. We did this. This is all the, I think it's sharing and doing that. And if not, you guys, I'm sorry. Oh, you can't hear me now. Okay, I see now. Because
Now
that's
I
why.
can. Now I
Now
got
you
you.
can. That's why. Okay. All right, because of the YouTube music thing. Anyway, we won't be able to share the whole thing with you guys. But what I want you to do is I want you to go to the YouTube channel because it's YouTube, and I want you to go and click and like and watch and do all that. Share your thoughts on this because we really did a hard. Okay, Will, I didn't do a. I mean, I did a hard job. Angel did a much harder job. All I did was in the back fluff and flow, and then we had to AI edit me out. And
Oh, oh, the amount of shots we have of the desert shot, which is like with the Floyd Jet, the amount of shots I have of Adela in left frame going like doing a Tom Cruise run here, like trying to bolt out of the frame in time. It's so hilarious. There was one where you tried hiding behind her, but it's so funny. You could just see like your face in between like the clothing.
I'm
We laughed
impossible
so
to
hard at some of
hide.
those.
I'm impossible to hide, you guys. And I
Thread
try
hair.
so hard, and I try so hard. And well, yeah, it definitely is the red hair, but it's also, talk about the energy. It just penetrates through everything. And like, you can't, you're
That's
like,
right.
something's there. Something like my eye can't get off her, that one section. Oh, it's Adela.
It's
Like,
Adele.
that's what's there. Yes. But please go take a look at it. Watch the video. We did a premiere with it, but this is what we did as our own like little. We wanted to, like I said, have a moment of creation, get back into a space where we both felt something. We've both been struggling in our own lives in different ways, in different spaces, and in navigating things and understanding things. And a lot of that can remove a lot of emotion, a lot of things. So having humans around you who are willing to show up, do something, create, and have that moment, but also create something that feels. Once we saw
Yeah.
this, it like, and he also, again, as he mentioned, we know each other very well. We really are attuned to each other. And the music he chose for this and all the little details, like in the way he did it, that's what makes like people feel, and that's what makes me feel, and that's what makes humans feel. And so I want you to feel we really did do a good job of this. I'm so proud of it, and Angel did a great job, and everything is flowing, and it's about the, it's just about the being. I'm actually gonna try to play this, but it might mute you, Will, so it'll play this. So we're gonna pause and see you guys, and then if not, well, there's that, and then we're gonna do that. But I'm gonna play this for a second. I want you to see this for like 3 seconds because it's awesome. If at all.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
Okay, that's all you're gonna get. That's all you're gonna get, you guys. That's all you're gonna get. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go like it. Go see it. Do you see that back shot that we saw? That's where we got the back shot. And the back shot came from that shot. It all has a shot to a shot, and it's a shot. And we didn't even talk about that. We didn't even talk about it. We were like, let's create. So we really, really appreciate the support for you guys liking that. It's some of our best work in the short span, without even thinking we were gonna do it, without even thinking we were gonna release it, without even thinking we were gonna put it together. And then now we're making it even bigger by involving the community in our local Jacksonville community for creating a fashion fundraiser where we're going to invite our local artists to come and be and participate, be a part of it, as well as our models and just the community members. And if you're a model and you're like, hey, I want to try modeling, never been modeled, believe you me, I'm not your New York Fashion Week at all. So if you have an interesting look and you have a personality and you want to try it and you have a passion and feel for art, it's going to be as simple as submitting, and then I'll let you know. But I'm really, really excited about that. So all because of, again, somebody having faith in even my vision or wanting to indulge me and entertain me. And Will has done that for quite a few years now, going on, 10 years now almost. Oh my God, I can't believe it's almost been a decade, 10 years? Dude. Close.
Yeah, I'm 30 now.
Yeah, we're close to a decade. And that's insane. But speaking of how long art takes and how long to move on, some things you can't move on from, and you can't necessarily be like, it's done and finish it. But you have to be able to be adaptable and change to it, like our documentary. So, Will, I'm going to let you take over because, okay, first of all, you guys, that was the whole reason why I was in LA for, because we are finishing up the documentary this year. It is done, and we're very, very excited because it's been years.
Well, we need one more interview.
We need one more interview. Right, but the whole thing, we're done. We have one more interview, but we're done. Yeah.
We're in basically post-process happening. Moving forward, we have like well over 24 hours of footage that, we're trying to cut down to a 40-minute documentary. Over the course of, we filmed our first thing, which this is before we even knew it was going to be a full documentary. And this was technically just kind of like a bit of a biography,
school project.
It was a school project. It was back in 2018. But once we filmed it, like our first initial interview for that was about an hour, a little over an hour long. And there was so much to unpack within that interview. In fact, actually on my recent trip to Florida, I ended up rewatching that entire interview again on the plane. It was so funny. It was hysterical. I was cracking up, at how stupid you and I are. The amount of, we were absolute idiots. It's kind of funny. I was like watching it and I was like, we've changed so much, but we also haven't in so many ways. Like
you have a great perspective to be able to see us from that growth over the last couple of years, where we've changed so much. However, not at all.
Our sense of humor has not changed like at all. I'm like, we still make those jokes to this day. Like some of the moments in there, like in between the questions and everything, are just so funny. But the doc, it was originally just an 8-minute doc, and we realized that there was something more there because of where you were at now and where you were heading, because of your past. And I kind of knew, and I could see that, like, I caught you at like an interesting stage, as far as you were just now kind of coming out of this. You were starting to have this awakening,
yes,
basically. And I was kind of like right there at the time to see this process, which was super cool. And we'd done the first initial doc, which had gotten all the history and gotten us caught up to a lot of it. And now there was more of the exploratory element of Adela Hittel, and going on this journey of trying to figure out about the past, what the future holds, and your purpose. Um, we filmed so many different things, and a lot of our creative projects all tie into that because they show so much about where you are artistically. And I love that that's like such a big element of Fink, expressing one's emotions and feelings through art. And it's like, well, yeah, duh, but therapeutically. That's, art is therapeutic. If you do it
Yes.
right, you really dive into it, and if you're somebody that's really working through something difficult within your life, and you just dive into absolutely anything, especially within an art form, though, music, photography, filmmaking, art, clothing design. I always feel like I can to doing something with your hands, doing something with your
It
hands
could be
because it
woodworking. It could be,
it could be anything, but
washing, literally washing your
it's the
car
act of,
is an art
yeah, the
form.
act of doing
Yes.
something with your hands. There is something about grabbing something tactile and actually manipulating it and forming it and creating something. It transfers your brain down to here,
Yep.
and you get such a sense of pride of going, I did that. I did that by myself. And if you start thinking and you know the questions to ask yourself, that will translate. It will translate 100% through here. And if you're working, and it may not be pretty,
No.
and that may be the point. That may be the point. It's not pretty. Like it may be ugly, and let that ugly come out within it. And that's something that you've taught me over the years of, you know, it's okay if it's not good. It's okay if it's not pretty. It's okay if it's scary, even. Some of the most beautiful art is scary. It's terrifying because you can see it was so genuine,
Yeah.
and that artist, felt that amount of pain. Um, you know, Van Gogh cut his own ear off, you know, but his paintings wouldn't really showcase that in a way. And, he translated his pain and everything differently. I love this aspect of Fink because I think that art has been lost so much within, especially the United States. It's been taken out of schools. Music has not been promoted as much as
Nope.
it needs to be, even sports anymore. And sports in of itself are an art form. I used to do
Yes.
fencing, and that is such an art form in of itself. I've al-
You even did a
my
you've done so much work with fencing and creating fencing like videos and things like that too, just for the
Yeah,
expression of it too, and the theater
yeah,
work you've done, and the just there's so much to life is art.
yeah. But it only is if you actually get in it and you get deep within it. And because I used to coach for fencing a lot, and I used to tell my students all the time. I said, I show them a video of them fencing, and I go like, "Does this look good?" And they'd be like, "I mean, no, not really." I go, "Good fencing looks good," and it's so true. And that's just a blanket statement
Yep.
across anything, like especially with sports, though. You see like some of the highest athletes within their fields, they look good doing
Yep.
it. It looks good doing it. It doesn't look sloppy. There's no sport that's at the highest level that looks like it's sloppy
It
or
doesn't
looks like it's barely
feel
there.
good. You don't want to
Mm-mm.
do it. There's
No,
nothing
it hurts.
like fun really about it during the process unless you know unless you love
Yeah,
it, cuz then that's the whole all three of those are fun for you like it is for us.
yeah,
So, but that's the part of the game of sport and like the game of what you do is that none of those things are what you want to do. They hurt, they're not, but they look good doing it. And we look
yeah.
good doing and making all our mistakes.
That's right. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on the tangent of that, but that is a huge essence of the
Yeah.
documentary that I'm definitely fixated on.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like almost more so than you because I've gotten to watch this within
Yeah.
you now, and how I'm definitely the outsider looking in. And I also rewatched interview session that we had with your mom, and
Yeah.
then also aftermath footage of that interview, which is so interesting. Um, the documentary has its own unique form
Yeah.
right now, and so I knew it's puzzle pieces that have not been painted yet, which is That's your typical documentary is you have a bunch of puzzle pieces, but there was no picture.
Yep.
So you have to build the puzzle and you have to already know what the picture is going to be, but
Without
you have to
ever
build
knowing
the
what the
puzzle
information
and
is. All blank.
that's right. And then you have to paint it
Yep.
after the puzzle's already built. It's like it's deconstructing a puzzle. That's what I call documentaries for the most part. But I knew I was going to need a certain list of questions answered, and now was like the time to ask them.
Yeah.
Because I knew we were getting close to the end of this documentary. I can see where you're at. You've come into this next phase within your life that is definitely closing the chapters that we've opened
Yep.
within the beginning of it. So now is the best time to ask you, and that was one of my biggest reasons for my trip to Florida, was for us to have a second to last interview, because I know that there's going to need to be one more, but I wanted to, for filmmaking reasons, showcase it in two different areas. But I'm so happy with how it's looking, because just the changes in your hair throughout the years. I mean, that alone is,
You guys,
that's
when we
it's its
talk
own
about
storyline.
listen, when we talk about multiple personalities and bipolar and like the episodes
Yeah.
of like that is Adela in a nutshell of going like,
Oh, yeah.
sure, you can. And I say that with all due respect to all the medical professionals who've tried to diagnose me with that, but going, I'm just trying to figure out where I am and what I'm going and what I'm doing, how I'm navigating, and maybe I want to shave my head, maybe I want to have split hair, maybe I want to have two different eyebrows, maybe.
That's been the best part for me is thank you for doing this, by the way, because it's been so easy for me to figure out what year stuff is, because I'm like, this is blue hair at Adela, that's like 2018, and then I'm like, oh, bald Adela, we're at 2021.
Oh God, right? I mean, hey, at least I can help in some spot. Now, I can't help with the continuity. I can't help with making anything like feel like, again, you guys are about to take a roller coaster, which is gonna be great and fun and exciting, and that's what I'm really excited about. And what's really great about it is that this documentary sure showcases me and my triumphs and all that, but the other part of that is that my whole hope with the documentary, and I hope that, again, I'm speaking on behalf of Will too, but our hope is that you get to see the heart of a human and the experience of humanity and the navigations through art with it. And we wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be here with none of this if it wasn't for the community support that we had to put in, like from our gaffers, from our PAs, from the people coming in to actually be my subjects and my test cases, because I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out and I don't know what I'm doing, and I want to host a huge interview to do a group interview on mental health, like no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it, and they show up from locations to giving us and donating their locations, or even cutting us a discount to be like, here you go, let me help you out, to food sponsors, to people not even just locally but across the state, like down in Daytona, and Iron Horse, who like gave us this awesome, we're like, hey, we're gonna start a fashion project and that's how it started, fashion documentary, and I've got this idea, no idea what I'm doing, and here we are now ending it with another fashion piece, but it goes to show you that you're made stitch by stitch, and sometimes the stitches can go a little sideways, sometimes they can get a little bit matted up, but you can always unstitch it, and you can always put it back into where, when you look at the place where you were like, I know the good place I can go back to, like I know where the last good one was, I know where the last good stitch was, I know where the last good solid point is, so let me unravel, and you have to unravel in order to be fixed again. And we don't look at art that way. We just look at it like, oh, you made a mistake, now go to hell and die, and you're like, no. Or you made a mistake, you made a mistake, let's get you medicated because there's something mentally wrong with you, and you're just you can't think for yourself. No, it just and I'm not saying there are not those cases, but I'm also saying that part of you and majority of us are lost in the idea of where we're at, and we hope that this documentary will kind of help navigate you, that you're allowed to take the time, and you're allowed to take the process, you're allowed to experience and figure yourself out until you get to a place where you're more strong and stable and understand yourself. And art was that for me. Art, it will always be that for me in whatever form it is. I mean, I told you about like how I want the documentary open, like with that one statement of just like, if I can't create, I can't, like, I'm not living, I'm not breathing, like,
Yeah.
And that from it's literally my life statement. But
Yeah.
I also believe that God, like, if we think about it again, or not, I'm a spiritual, I'm a believer, I'm and so like if you, whoever those for you or where you're at, I don't care if that's you, but for me, that's literally the ultimate gift of Christ and of God, to be able to have the ability to
Hmm.
create something with a life,
Yeah.
with the preciousness of this like light within us, that we get to decide on, that we get to push through, that we get to fight, that we
Yeah.
get to be like, I'm better and stronger and more more valuable than the thought of not.
Well,
And go ahead.
and I love showing the respect to the therapy realm, but the term therapy has just, I'm sorry, in recent years, in my opinion, it's so turned into just a such one-dimensional form of trying to work on yourself, and with prescription drugs, and I feel like also just validating a lot of people's feelings.
Yep.
There's, when I think of the term therapy now, this whole idea of Fink shows that therapy can be multiple different things. And I think that art is definitely a million times more better about it, because it will push you to hurt. It
Yes.
will push you then to be proud of yourself. It will push you to strive against things. It will show you your insecurities, and it will show you how to grow past those insecurities if you're willing to take the
Yes.
accountability and actually work on it. If you don't, and I feel like a lot of modern therapy, there's not a lot of accountability taken,
Yep.
and it's more validation as opposed to accountability, and people stay stagnant within that,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
don't end up working on themselves. And art forces you to work on yourself.
Mhm.
It forces you to get better, because you don't want to make something that you don't like. You want to make something that you do like. And what better way to do that than if you keep improving yourself, and you
Exactly.
keep soul searching, and you keep diving into, and that can be, for anybody. I'm, as like you, I'm a Christian, and I I come to it from a more faith-based aspect, and I think that art can connect people in multiple different ways. It doesn't have to be on the spiritual level. That's my choice. That's my belief, and that's what works for me. But I find peace within that, and I think that art is a huge part of finding peace within oneself from that.
Oh,
But it
art
has to be
leads,
genuine. It has to be genuine.
if you're genuine and you understand the impact of it, art leads you to God. And I say this from personal experience, because when I started this whole journey, and you'll speak to this, I was constantly universe, 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 and it's fine. Like, that's great. That's where I was at, because I was trying to navigate. I always knew there was a higher power. I always knew there was more to it than that. But the understanding of what God was, I lost my way. Understanding of that path of that, and literally trying to disprove my own thought and my own and everybody
Mm-hmm.
else's, and disprove that it isn't that. It proved to me that art is God. Art is in the God is in the creation of our
Yeah.
existence. God is in the rain. God is in the wind. God is in the green in the green grass. God is in this like water, in this tea, in this mug, in this like. But that's again my personal experience and peace in there, and this is how now I know how to navigate this. This is why I've had the
Yeah.
consistency again in the same hair color and the same growth and the same thing. You really see when you have some structure and stability, when you're not here searching for it through your own
Yeah.
expressive character. And when we are, and you going back into talking about therapies, I've been fortunate enough this last year to also be invited into a room full of certified physicians and therapists whom, with all due respect of everything, but they don't understand the actual being of a self, of
Yeah.
what's happening within the self. They understand the clinical and having to do it the right way and not to push or not to make it uncomfortable. Whereas you have, like, we're looking to make it uncomfortable and have that conversation. And that's what
Yeah.
art
To be.
does, and
Yeah.
it forces you to do that. And you go back to you brought my mom's interview up, like, I had no idea when I started this consciously at all. Like, now I see it. Like, now I see that I know what I was doing without even knowing, but I had no idea that taking that on, like I could take it or I should take it. I was a 15-year-old girl take in the body of a 33, 34-year-old woman, taking on a whole traumatic experience and trying to figure out and navigate it and thinking I can understand any process of it. It's
Yeah.
insane to look at something, but you get to see that process of your own growth, and then you get to say, wow, I
But
made some
you did
grace.
the work.
But I did the
It's so
work.
it's so evident that you embraced the pain
Yeah.
of it, and I'm very confident in saying that, I think that finding that spiritual connection with God is the best way.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem saying that, and I don't mind refuting anybody on it
Yeah.
at all, because it forces you to admit that there is something greater than you. And
Yes.
you need that humility and you need that reality check. And that also removes pride, and that removes the fact that you don't need to worry about yourself and your own image as much, as opposed to what you're putting out
Presenting in
there
the image of
to
God. Yeah.
for others,
Mm-hmm.
that's within the image of God, and that there's a higher power that you need to be more respectful to, and you need to carry yourself in a better way. Because if you just focus on yourself, then you're just going to become an egotistical
Mm-hmm.
person for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to do that work. It's important to be grounded,
Yes.
and it's important to stay um, centered within that ideology of, I'm doing this for something greater than just myself, but it's
And I
also
would,
for those around me.
and I'd like to say that like I've had plenty of opportunities to take to do it for the better, like for me personally, like my own.
Yeah,
And we've talked about this. I've had plenty, and you've had plenty of opportunities. Like, but I've had plenty of opportunities where it would have skyrocketed either my career, skyrocketed things, skyrocketed something in what we're doing. However, being true to who I am, like the truth of myself, this process and making this documentary and working through Project Human and just living here, making it like the human being is the most complex part of our existence. Just our existence is so complex that we can't even.
right.
So, how the hell do we think we can fathom God or any of that complexity when we can't even have a
Hmm.
conversation within ourselves or with other people to have that? So, to know that it humbles you to a level that you have no control or no understanding over anything that goes on, over anybody at any given space, anytime. You can
Yeah,
speculate, you can assume, you can conversate, you can do all of that, but you still have no idea or control over that. But the thing you do have an idea and control over is your being, because you are your being. And if you don't
yeah,
have that, then that part is, that's the homework assignment. That's the part of life. That's understanding it. That's what living is. And if you're struggling in that, then of course everything else is going to be the struggle for you. And you and I have had both places that we have been challenged this year. Boy, has the challenge of 2025 come in on that. But and not to say that we haven't gone through the other sides of going like F it all, fuck it all completely to the end of T. However, you can't say that when you know it's not about you. Like, it's not
yeah.
about you. It's bigger than you. All of this that you're going through, all the struggle, all the pain, all the heart, it's not about you. So you
It's
either
not about
decide
you.
to make it about you or decide that you're going to walk through it with absolute strength, confidence, and grace and humility and humbleness, that there are going to be hard days, there are going to be good days, there's going to be great days, there's going to be ups and downs for forever in every ways. But the thing I can
Yeah,
control is how I conceive this, how I do this. And when we started this documentary, when we started that, like with you showed me that when you asked me, and again, nobody had ever asked me to say, hey, I want to do a little piece on you because I find your story a little bit inspiring. And you were a kid at the time. And, I thought I was a grown woman. I was a child myself. But to have somebody even be like, hey, I just want to share your story a little bit, I was like, who's this? Who knows me? And they're going to do this. And then to see it, to watch it, and to then watch this being grow and evolve and literally go from thinking she's the greatest thing on planet Earth to being put on a whole, like, I ain't got nothing to do with me. And you know
yeah.
that because I was there. So I'm so excited to share
Well,
that process with people.
one thing that I love about the documentary as well, that because, like I said, I watched our entire first
Right.
interview on the plan, and so a lot of the questions that I asked you this year were almost they were like part twos to a lot of the questions I asked the first time.
Yep.
And I repeated some of them because I was curious to see how you answer them now. And it was so different. It's so much more. There is such a piece
Yeah.
about you within this interview, and there's so much more of a certainty
Oh,
of
good.
conviction within this new footage that you just did not have. It's, if you compare the two interviews, you're confident in the first one,
It was a
but you
false
look at it and
confidence.
it's a
It was a
false
false
confidence. It's a front.
confidence.
It's a
It's
front.
a
It's
full
fake, and
mask. It's
you can
fake.
feel
You
it.
can
You
feel
can
it.
feel it. But
Yes.
in this interview, you're like, that's a person that's reached serenity. They've come the full circle, and it doesn't mean they don't have more to go.
Right.
Like, you've recognized that, but you've come to peace with the pain. You've come to peace with the pain of, I know what I have to work on. I know my shortcomings, and I'm fine with them, and I'm doing the work to work through them. And, I'm not just validating myself of living in this one area. I'm going to keep growing. I'm not looking for validation from other people. It's about my relationship with Christ and God, and how I can, because if you can focus on yourself and you can focus on that, that just exudes to other people. And that's just a beautiful side effect of that process, because
When you're on
that's,
the other end, it becomes heaven. Listen, it
yeah,
becomes heaven. I made a post the other day. I was like, the easy way out is, we may think like the easy way out is hell. The hard
yeah, it's so
way
easy.
is heaven. Like, because when you get there, when you go through the hard, like, you already know the process, that you'll never go back the hard way. Like you know it. There's no ever need to go back to the mountains to climb through them. There's no ever need to go back into the hell that you've been into, because you know it. But when you're not willing to walk through it, then you're just like, I'm going to take the easy way out. Oh, I see the fire, but you know what? I'm just gonna go walk around right over this. It's not my fire, even though I said it. I'm just gonna walk around here. Like, that's still your, like,
Yeah,
that fire is still it will forever catch on. But if you're like, nah, damn it, I'm this fire. I consumed it, and we've talked about that. Like, I have had the capacity to consume everyone around me with my existence, because the fire
yeah,
of that. Like, I am not a nice being. Like, I am not. I'm kind. I am not nice. And I understand that. However, what I've also learned is that that part is, I have the power to consume everything around me, or to consume it within me and be able to internalize it and figure it out, because it's no one else's. No one else should be burned because of my existence.
no, yeah,
Like, no one.
hmm,
And that part is hard, because then it reminds you that you're the problem in everything in your life. No matter what it is the situation is, you are the problem in how you exist in your life, because it's how you've
yeah,
decided you feel and how you've decided to let yourself flow. You may not want to take on that responsibility and that accountability to the fullest. However, you are. And then when you're in relationships, or in your partnerships, or in your creative aspects, whatever that may be, you understand that you will always show up at your best 100%. There's nothing else you have to worry about. And that's walking with Christ in peace, because then
yeah,
you are not in charge of anybody, anything else. And like, your life is in heaven, because no matter what you do, you are good and protected. Like, your truth is good. You've done the work, you've
yeah,
pushed that through. And I never ever wanted to. Someone once told me, Adela, you don't walk the walk, you talk. And that was like, that hit me in the gut, because obviously if I felt it that deep, I wasn't. So I don't want to ever feel that, or have someone say that to me, and I can't say that I
right.
did not walk that walk. And for me, it is, that also meant shut up and do the walk. And so I shut up, and I've been doing the walk, and I'm
Well, and
glad that we both did it.
you attract what you put out.
Yes.
It's that simple too.
Yes.
If you find out that you're surrounded by a bad group of people, you made it, look at
It's you.
yourself then.
It's you.
It's you. It's you.
It's you. I see it, because
If
I
you're
don't have
surrounded
any
by
of the
people,
people around me that I thought and considered friends,
mhm,
or I thought were good people. The moment I changed and switched, every one of them fell off. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, well, it wasn't them. And again, I can say,
mhm,
and I'm not saying that they didn't do me wrong. I'm not saying that there wasn't, but it wasn't them. They found the
well,
appeal into my negativity and wanted to be a part of it. And I fueled it, and we fueled each other's. And that's what that was.
and they don't all leave.
No,
Sometimes they level up with you.
they do.
I've noticed. I've noticed that they level up with you, and then they come along for the ride as well. And you know that's not a prideful thing to feel, but you should feel a sense of pride in the fact that you are helping, that
Yep.
just by your own actions of inner work, inner strength, that encourages other people. And that energy and that authenticity and that actual realness will speak to people, because people also know when it's fake.
Absolutely.
People also know when you're BSing them and you're not being real.
Oh,
And
100%.
they read right through that, and if you're a person that isn't authentic, that's who you're going to attract is other
Absolutely.
inauthentic people.
Absolutely. And we've spoken this a little while ago too when we started this, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done with feeling this way. I don't want this. And then again, the things you say have the power. So if you say you want these things and you want that, you'll get what you say, but you'll also attract
Yeah.
what you feel within, because your words have the power to combine with the feeling. And for me, I wanted structure. I wanted stability. I've talked about that forever. I want peace. Like, I don't want money. I don't want fame. I don't want glory. I don't want no one. I don't care. That has nothing to do with
Yeah.
me.
It has nothing to do with any of
But
this.
my
Yeah.
structure, who I am, and all that, like, all of that will come from that, because I am just that strong within that. And so how do you build your being that will be strong enough to withstand everything that's going to come with your family, with all? It starts with you understanding your demons, so that when those demons come and go, hey, let's have a drink. Adela, you don't drink anymore. I know that, but let's have a drink, because, and then I'm like, I remember how it feels. Let's have a drink, knowing fully well what that drink leads to. And again, I'm not saying anything against
Yeah.
anyone. This could be, hey, Adela, you know what? I know you go to bed at 8 p.m. and you set your boundaries very, very strong, but I'm in town last minute and you should change all your plans for me, because I wasn't considerate enough to think of you and let you know that I'm flying in, because I know I have to do that.
Right.
So let me have you change your mind. And I go, no, you can be mad at me all you want. But again, we're not at each other's beck and call. When we can have that,
Hmm.
then I know that I'm not going to be the demon, the mess to my family, to the things that matter to me. Like, I will not be
Right.
all of those things to that. The 40 inches matters the most to that. And we don't have that. We want the world's attention. We want the stranger's opinion, the stranger's like, for them to think we are something that we're not. And you said it yourself. That first interview with me on there is exactly the proof of that, is that I wanted people to like me, to see me for something I was not. I'm not saying that there's not the essence of Adela still there, 100%. But the full mask of something else was there too. And so I
You
want us to
you
take the mask off.
you acknowledged, I think, subtly in that first interview that you were, it's very subtle, but you do acknowledge kind of the fact that you are wearing a mask. And like I said, it's very subtle how you do that. And you also acknowledge the fact that you have a lot to learn and that you kind of didn't know how to go about it even.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the beauty of it as well, because again, that just shows the authenticity of going, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but damn it, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to do the work and I'm
Yeah.
actually going to dig
I'm not
deep
going to
within
run
myself.
away from my
I'm not going to
responsibility of
run away.
existing in
And
this life, and
yeah,
from what I've decided to do and commit myself to, because I don't feel like something. And we talk about the feeling
yeah,
and the validation. Listen, guys, I'm running an organization for mental and emotional health. We have a conversation called, Artists Within. We talk about we're literally all about the mental health and all that. However, comma, and every other exclamation point you can think of, your feelings are just that. They're feelings that you are experiencing life in a space and time, in a moment. They are valid for the moment. They are not the truth of your reality.
no,
That is the
no, not at
difference.
all.
They are not the truth of your reality. For your moment, if I'm like, hey, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not feeling good, and I need to, okay, dude, that's where you're at. You're not feeling good. Okay, cool. That's not your reality, though. That's your mind
Feelings are,
taking and
yeah,
creating a reality that doesn't exist, because that is the power of our own existence, is that we get to create the realities that we live with and shape with. Again, those of you who are going to say, what about poor economics? Like, that's fine. You can go. I'm still saying the same thing. It does not matter,
right.
because you are in charge of how you're going to determine that life and who you're going to impact and what you're going to do. You have that opportunity. And especially if you're in America, there's not a damn thing you can say to me that you can't, that you're like nothing. So
Yeah,
that idea that we are willing to run away because we feel overwhelmed, we feel something, we feel. What about, I feel overwhelmed, But here's how I'm going to prevent that from happening again. I'm not going to let you call me at 7 o'clock and say, Adela, I flew into town and I want to spend time with you, so I'm coming over. No, that puts me in an overwhelmed situation. You're not doing that. I love you, but find another time. Have a good one. Oh, I'm in a ruined relationship. Okay, then the relationship was ruined and we weren't friends at all because you don't respect
Yeah.
my boundary or have a conversation. Whether that's your, again, that's I'm just saying as a friend because that happened to me recently, but that's still like, whether that's a friendship, whether that's your husband, whether that's your wife, whether that's your brother or sister, it doesn't matter. Human beings are not
Yeah.
willing to have that conversation, not willing to be there, willing to run away because they feel like whatever. Well, you can feel all you want, but
Fe-
at the end of the day,
feelings feelings are fleeting, and
they
if you
fly
chase
away
them,
like
your
you.
life your yeah, feelings are fleeting. If you chase them, your life will just meander.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're someone that just chases happiness and the feeling of happiness, you're going to be the saddest person,
Mm-hmm. And
because
there's
you won't find any peace within
no,
that. You
there's a
won't.
difference between joy, pure joy of existence.
Hmm.
That's living in Christ and in life and being here and existing in the space and time, regardless of the circumstances, the joy of
Yeah.
existence and
Yeah.
happiness. You and I chased happiness on that moment of the photo shoot and had a great time. We were so happy. But guess what? After that happiness, it fleeted away because guess what we had to do? We had to get back to reality because that reality was that we had to
Yeah.
work. We had to put it together. We had to edit. We had to submit. We had to get yelled at. We had
Yeah.
to go. Also, we had to go submit it to people to give us, criticize us. Because by the way, we didn't just go look at this and go, these
Yeah.
are great. We submitted it to people who actually are experts in the business and know some things and go, hey, could you please give us an input and tell us no? And then they go, your posing sucks. This could be better. This is great.
Yeah.
This is great. And we're like, do we still submit? Yes. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
but then what did we do the next one? Posing better, this better, this better, this
Exactly.
better.
Level it up.
We level it up. So
Yeah.
the idea that you don't want to take the conversation and the criticism or the conversation in there
Hmm.
just because you're too scared of a feeling that you might get offended or might get hurt or it might not what you want, that's literally your own self deciding
Yeah.
that you're not worth the growth of your own existence. And that's a
Yeah.
shame. That's an absolute shame.
Yeah.
And that is that's very sad to me as a human because you have so much more potential. So for those of you who are feeling that or in that moment, I'm calling you out, then decide you're worth the effort and go to work on it because I promise you, I'm not saying it's easy. Believe you me, you'll see it. But it's worth it. Look at where we're at.
Yeah.
Look at where we're at.
No. Happiness, if you, especially, happiness is not a constant. It's a gift, in my opinion. Most of life isn't about being, well, pretty much all of life isn't about being happy. It's about learning to, I don't want to sound dull, but it's also just not learning to cope, but it's learning about just to find joy within whatever is happening around you. And if you really look on the moments that you are feeling happy and just be grateful for them, but know that it's not going to last forever. It's not
No,
supposed to. It's not supposed to, because also too, you don't learn that much when
no,
you're
you don't
happy.
learn when
You
you're just
really
in that
don't.
moment. No.
You become very stagnant. And when you are struggling through times of sorrow, that's the time to learn. And
That's
if
the
you
time to
really have
grow.
that mindset, you'll feel way more better about yourself, and you'll feel way more proud of your work and your work ethic, as opposed to just giving in to the depression and giving in to sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And just know that happiness will come,
Yes.
but it will leave as well.
And again, at the end of the day, we shouldn't be looking for the happiness. Understand what joy means, and I say that
Yeah.
like with a capital J, joy from Bible, joy, joy, joy. Understand what joy means to you in the depth of joy, because this life is really joyful if you decide. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it is easy. I'm not saying that it is like not a struggle and that you're not going to feel all of those emotions that Will just mentioned, happiness, sadness, and all that. But joy is the ability to hold on to a structure and a peace and a sense of compassion and empathy for yourself at the same time as you do for the world, while it's just like a shit show of the amount
Yeah.
of human, like literally, again, complexity and mistakes and sins and whatever you want to call it, it is happening in this world because that's what we are. We're literally mere human beings and we do not know what we're doing, even though we think we want to play God, and we're not. And so
No.
let's kind of humble ourselves on that. And with that, we did a really good job. Hey, Will, when can we expect a trailer for the documentary? Because that's exciting.
We should have something in July.
Okay, guys.
Coming up pretty quick. Coming up pretty quick.
I know.
We're looking to shoot anywhere from around the 30 to 40 minute mark, but we're gonna have a little bit of teaser stuff to show you guys in July, and then some other bigger things later in
Yes.
the year. We're going to be doing a full film festival run on a lot of this. Probably doing our pickup interview stuff probably around August. I'm thinking right
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, yeah, it's coming along. It's looking great. It's a beast. I've worked on a documentary before, and this one's a whole other animal.
I mean,
And
it's Adela.
like I said, it's deconstructing a puzzle. It's
It is.
deconstructing a puzzle without a picture or even on it right now.
And
But
we didn't
that's
even know, and I didn't even have an idea what my identity was to give you a picture. I just had one puzzle piece, and I said, I
yeah,
hope that's enough. And we went scouting for more puzzles and pieces, and hope that
right.
they were, and hope that they'll fit.
Originally, we thought it was just a canvas with a painting, and then
Yeah.
we're like, oh wait, zoom out. Oh, that's one puzzle piece. Oh, and there's like 50 more. Oh, okay,
Oh no,
all right,
Adela, it's a 1,000-piece puzzle, and you only have
yeah,
30 of
yeah.
them. Good luck.
Right. But I'm super excited about the documentary. It has a lot of heart in it, and it's not about being uh so many documentaries nowadays are so void of soul.
Hmm.
It's like they're shot like movies or something, and this one's just got so much heart in it,
Yay!
and it's
That's what
got
I
so much
want.
authenticity of it, and I think that that's going to come through in a
Good.
lot of different ways. I'm very excited about it, so be on the
Yay!
lookout for that.
Awesome. All right, and where can everybody find you?
I am regrettably on social media. I haven't been able to use it enough to lose it yet, but I'm working towards that. But I'm on Instagram at William Phillips Cook. If you want to actually look at my actual work and see what I really do, go check out my website, willcookmedia.com. Um, I have a short film that's going through the film festival circuit right now. No real news on Blood Money or anything. Still waiting to hear back from festivals, but as soon as I'll be announcing some of that stuff pretty soon. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Well, thank you so much. And I will be back, you guys, with a couple more episodes with the resilience and updating you with so much more. So until then, enjoy this. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the other things that you need to do. And then check out Will and follow him. And do me the biggest favor. Please make sure you understand that you're worth this effort of this life and the thing that you have to do, because it's hard. It is not easy, but it is worth the effort of navigating to get there. And when you get there on the other end, as someone who was as cynical as could be for any of that stuff, yet still was positive, I promise being on that other end is one of the greatest things you could potentially do for yourself and for your future and your family. So I wish you nothing but the best and nothing but love. I will touch base with you in very shortly, and until then.